Gentleman, time's expired. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. Nunn, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Thistle, my state of Iowa has over 400 life insurance companies investing over $66 billion just in our local economy. These companies vary in size from a Fortune 500 company down to very small firms on Main Street, Iowa. My concern here today, and I want to echo what Congressman Gottheimer highlighted here, is that the SEC is moving out in a way that may not be fully vetting some of the rules that are coming out. And so I appreciate you being here today to talk with us on this. I want to specifically talk to a proposed rule that was released on July 26 here that conflicts with interest regarding predictive data analytics. Under the guise of protecting investors, it moves from AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, quantum computing, with a definition that is incredibly broad. It includes the covering of all transactions, essentially every bit of technology that's been around since the 1980s, including Excel spreadsheets and calculators. In fact, in his dissent, the SEC Commissioner Ulati points out that even non-electronic calculators like an abacus might be legally subject to the scope of the SEC review. So, Director, I just want to ask a candid question here. Are we asking our advisors to go back to doing calculations by hand because calculators would now be covered by this?
No, sir. In fact, no technology is prohibited by this rule. The rule simply says that for investment advisors that do use the particular kinds of technologies that you alluded to in their interactions with clients, if they put their interests first, they need to remediate that.
So it would have the SEC reviewing these bits of technology. Let me ask, what things would not be under the SEC's purview in this covered technology? Could you give me a couple examples?
I believe Ranking Member Sherman may have alluded to an example or two earlier about credit card applications and so forth. The release states a number, but your point is really well made, sir, because this is the period of time, and the comment period on this is actually actively open, where we, and certainly my colleagues and the staff, will benefit from hearing concerns about the scope.
Consider that our feedback from Iowa. I appreciate that, Dr.
Received.
Thistle. I also want to talk about in order for a firm to be compliant with the broad and prescriptive requirements put forth in this proposal, firms would likely have to have a ton of additional personnel and take on substantial costs in order to regularly review every piece of technology they're bringing in. Again, I'm talking about my mid and small guys. When proposing a rulemaking with such vast consequences, did the SEC fully take into account the potential exorbitant effects this would have just on the costs of a medium or small business to be compliant with this?
Yes, sir. The economic analysis for this proposal, and indeed for all of them, does take that into account. Also, our staff regularly meets with trade associations and small investment advisors to attempt to understand, as best we can, their particular concerns on this and other releases.
And does the SEC fully appreciate then that providing these additional burdens on a smaller medium business is going to slow their innovation process, potentially giving a market advantage to a much larger corporation?
Sir, I can't speak for the Commission as a whole, but certainly the members of the Division of Investment Management appreciate those concerns and take them very seriously.
Doctor, as you know, many financial institutions have a unique affiliate relationship. I've heard from one company in my district that has concerns this rule would prevent transactions between affiliated institutions, or do you think such activities are outside the scope of your review?
It's an excellent question, sir. I would need to, I think, understand the facts of your constituent a little bit more clearly, but I welcome them, and if it may be of use, I could work with your staff to help understand that particular circumstance. But generally speaking, yes, we are very concerned and paying close attention to the scope.
And as we've heard from some of our other colleagues, what would be a general timeline for a response on something like that? From your office to mine.
Be available to meet with you at your convenience, sir.
All right, fantastic. I'll take you up on that. I'd like to submit for the record, Madam Chair, a comment letter signed by 16 trade groups that together manage trillions of dollars in American citizens' assets, and request additional time to comment on that, as the SEC has not performed a thorough cost-benefit analysis of this rulemaking. And Dr. Birdwell, while I appreciate your willingness to meet with us, we also need answers back in writing to actually make good policy up here. Further, the letter highlights the fundamental misunderstanding of how firms rely upon technology in a myriad of ways to benefit the end investor and make sure that small and medium businesses are not disenfranchised by this. With that, Madam Chair, I yield back the remainder of my time, and I thank the witness.
So ordered. The gentleman yields back.